Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with Emmett Muckles. Today is the day that you were given another chance. Today is the day that you were reborn because you went into this deep slumber. You connected with your spiritual in the night, and then you went somewhere and you weren't here. And then you came back so that you could process this moment. Understand that. Process this moment. Everything that you did yesterday is gone. Tomorrow's not here yet. So all you have is now. With that, be in the now and be a billionaire. All right. Got my precursor done. We're going to talk about cognitive psychology. That's a lot of words. That's a lot of syllables, isn't it?
Yes.
But that's okay, because I've got Stephen R. Campbell here, and we're going to pick this apart, digest it, and make it our own. How are you, Stephen?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be so much fun.
Cognitive psychology. For those of us who see it as just words, give me a definition.
Okay. The best way to give you a definition is to give you a couple of statements that will really help you understand it.
Okay.
So let's start with this. Right now, while I'm talking to you, your brain is talking to yourself thousands of times faster.
Yeah.
Your brain can do that because when I talk to you, use words and syllables. But when you talk to yourself, when we talk to ourselves mainly, Emmett, we use pictures and feelings. So when I think of Mary, my wife, who just came in, I don't think of her with words. I think of how I feel about her and how pretty she's become to me in the 50 years we've been married. So we're really talking to ourselves far faster. But here's cognitive psychology. Ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
While you are talking to yourself, your brain is believing everything you tell it without question, no arguments. So when you say this is really hard, your brain says, okay, and then looks for ways to make it hard. That's the scary part. The wonderful part is when you say this is really easy, your brain immediately says, oh, okay. And then it becomes obsessed with finding ways to make it easy. Now, is what you're saying true? Your brain doesn't even ask that question, doesn't even care. All it cares about is what you tell it.
Right.
You say it, it believes it. There's a wonderful book, and we won't go into books, but if people want to talk more about this, it's called Phantoms in the Brain by Dr. V.S. Ramachandran. And he talks about the fact that when a patient goes into a doctor's office, he'll say, you got to help me. I can't do a thing with my arm. And the doctor may say, well, it could because I cut off that arm 6 months ago. And the patient says, you didn't tell my brain that.
Right.
My brain still thinks it's there. My brain wants to pick things up with it. So the brain doesn't care whether what you're saying is true or not. Now, that is a foundation to cognitive. Here we go. This is cognitive psychology, starting now. Everything we can do today, Emmett, is primarily, not completely, but primarily based on what we say to ourselves about ourselves today. Notice I'm emphasizing the word today. The brain believes what you tell it. So, give you an example. I love examples. For the first 42 years of my life, I said to myself, I'm really dumb in math. And my brain said, okay, yeah, you really are. And then I saw numbers, I would freak out. But then in the 70s, I began discovering computers. This is way before the Apple. And I began tinkering around. And I discovered that I just love computers. I eventually got a graduate degree in computer science and began teaching computer science in universities. One day, the dean came to my office. He said, one of our math professors just quit, Steve, so you're a new math professor. I can't do numbers. He said, you want a job? Learn. There's the book. Next semester. Well, I needed a job, so I ran down to the Rohnert Park Library of all places. I picked up all of the books I could on brain-based learning on cognitive psychology. And I began teaching my course in math based on how the brain learns, which I already sort of knew. And students began saying, oh my gosh, you're such a good math teacher. You really are. And then the dean said, all the students saying, I will only take math if Mr. Campbell is my professor. And here's what I began doing. Here comes cognitive. I began listening to those students and what they were saying about me rather than what I had chosen, cognitive, to say to myself for 42 years. I replaced it. And when they said, you're really good, I didn't say, no, no, no. I said, yeah, you're really right. And the brain kept saying that. And here's another part of cognitive. What the brain does is when you lock onto new messages, the brain rewires itself. Oh. This is called neuroplasticity. And those new messages not only become a part of your mindset over time, takes some time, they become a part of who you are. So let's go back to math. So I began teaching math, having a really good time. And eventually I ended up writing 2 college textbooks. And what do you think? Math. Was it magical? Here's the point. Ready? This is all cognitive. Hang on to your seat. It's so exciting. I get chills when I share it with people. If everything we can do today is primarily based on what we say to ourselves about ourselves today, we can replace what we are saying to ourselves about ourselves when? Today. And what will our brain say? Okay, is it true? Don't care. All I care about is what you tell me. Now, notice I did not say the word change. The reason is because the brain hates change. The brain doesn't want you to change. The brain wants to keep you right where you're at. The brain wants to keep you safe. And change always involves something scary in the unknown. So the brain says, no, 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 let's change. But let's switch that. The brain loves to create new stuff. I mean, Emma, that's your life. You create new stuff.
I do.
So what the brain does is, rather than change, we create new things to ourselves. Now let's go into self-images. Notice I said self-images. I didn't say self-image. I'm a first-year baby boomer. I was taught you have a self-image, you have to flourish it. Not completely correct. It turns out we have millions of self-images. You have a self-image for every single thing that you can do. I have a self-image how I see myself as a teacher, as a presenter, as a father, as a grandfather, as a husband. I have a self-image for every meal that I cook. So I cook really good scrambled eggs. I mean, the secret is I use a lot of butter. I cook horrible poached eggs. My poached eggs are just awful. They're yucky and runny. As you can probably tell, I have a really high self-image for my scrambled and a low one for my poached. What's the point, Steve? The point is this. If I have 2 self-images for just 2 meals that I cook, you can imagine how many self-images I have for all of the other things I've done in the 73 years I've been walking around. Now, here's the point. Ready? Here's another part of cognitive. Those self-images, ready, are learned. You weren't born with them. You were born with certain natural dispositions. I was born a natural teacher. I've always been a teacher. When I was a kid, I used to put rocks in my backyard and pretended I was teaching them. I was a weird kid. Okay.
We all
were. We had this. Yeah, we're all weird, but we have this natural inclination. So I'm a natural teacher, but our self-images are learned, and this is so wonderful. It's so easy to teach. You know what they're learned from? Your self-talk. Your self-images are based on what you are saying to yourself about yourself today. Now, Shad Helmstedter's book, What We Say When We Talk to Ourselves. Most of what we say to ourselves, as you probably know, is negative crap. Most of our messages about ourselves is negative. But when we become aware of that, we can begin saying, wait a minute. I don't think so.
I have a question for you.
Says, okay, yes.
What about if you have a 50-50 balance?
What do you mean?
So, I think highly of myself, but I also say some things that are so self-deprecating.
Sure.
And one of my favorite sayings is, what a dick.
Yes.
I'll say that about myself. Like, I forgot to turn on the dishwasher last night before I went to bed. I'm such a dick.
But here's the point, Emmett. Do you know what you're doing? You're laughing at it. That's not normal.
What, really?
Most people don't laugh at it. They say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. They lock onto those self-images. Let me give you an example. I ended up teaching math. And a student came in the office. She was very shy. She sat down. She said, Mr. Campbell, I'm really glad you're my professor because I'm a C student in math. I said, well, what do you mean, Sue? She said, I've never gotten above C in a math test. So I worked with her. She got an A in the first midterm. I gave her the test, and she absolutely freaked out. She said, and then she said, oh, Mr. Campbell, this is a mistake. I said, what do you mean? She said, I have never gotten above a C on a math test. You must have made a mistake. And I said, I didn't, Sue. This is a genuine A. So then she looked at it longer. I'll never forget this. She looked at it longer and she said, do you know what this means? And of course, I'm getting really excited. So I sit down next to her and I said, yes, but you tell me, what does this mean, Sue? This means, Mr. Campbell, that when I flunk my next test, I can still maintain my C. And I said, Sue, just get an A in every test. She said, oh, I can't. Why? I'm a C student. And that's exactly what happened. So I sat down with her. I said, Sue, answer me this. What would have happened if you had flunked this first test? Do you know what she said, Emmett, without a moment's hesitation?
No.
She said, easy. I would have said like crazy, get an A on the next test. I'd have to maintain my C. And I would get an A on the next test. And I said, Sue, just get an A in every test. She said, oh, I can't. Why? Because I'm a C student. I've always been this way. This is how I was raised. This is what I look like. This is where I get stuck. This is where I failed. This is where I succeeded. This is what I can't do. This is what I can do. And on and on and on. Let me give you a new way of thinking. This plugs into what you were saying at the beginning of this program.
Yeah.
Emmett, when did your old life end? 1 second ago. So when did your new life begin? 1 second ago. Now do the math. 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour, 24 hours per day. In one 24-hour period, you have 86,400 new opportunities for a new life every single day. Here's cognitive. All you have to do is choose to take them. And when you do, your brain says, okay. Is it true? Don't care.
It's just
all I care about is what you tell us.
It's data.
It's data. That's right.
I've been digesting this book, this audio book, and it really made me sigh in relief.
Which book was that?
Coddling of the American Mind.
Okay.
It made me go, I'm not crazy.
No.
I've come up, first of all, I'm an African-American male of a certain age, which means I'm over 50. And being over 50, people always ask me, why are you so happy? And I say, because the likelihood of me making it in my 70s is astronomical all of a sudden. They're like, huh? I'm like, never mind. Just life is a gift. Every moment is a gift.
Life is a gift. Every minute, every second.
But we've come up with this narrative that we're telling we're implanting the firmware that is diametrically opposed to what used to be taught, which was sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
Also, we're going against the narrative of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the fact that what doesn't kill you harms you. And we know. I know this because I go work out, and it's a proven fact. I go and tear my body up a couple times a week. I destroy this tissue inside me. And what happens? New tissue is built that is stronger, denser, more resilient.
Did you know that every 7 years, every cell of your body has been completely replaced?
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah.
In certain parts of the body, it's even faster than that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you cut your lip,
like the skin,
yeah, the dermis is resilient. So
always fluffing off.
So how did you get to where you are right now? Because you say you were a math teacher, but we're talking cognitive psychology, and we're in a time where cognitive psychology, or the understanding of communication of oneself, is direly important. The reason for that is we are, for the most part, in a mass seclusion situation. Even that, there's another side to that. We may be secluded with our partner. We've never spent that much time with our partner. Things get a little dicey when you're around somebody for a long period of time. If you are not used to that, negative things can come and you can begin to believe them.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the new normal.
Yeah, the new normal. Yeah, I'm giving presentations all over about the new normal and what to do with it.
What do we do with the new normal? I mean, to me, it's not a new normal because I was the only child. I'm used to it.
Okay. Let me share with you a story because I think stories serve the purpose more than anything else. I've been sharing this for years and years and years. And one time, and I taught this in universities. One time, a student came up to me after you said, "You've been married for 40 years. How do you stay in love and stay married for 40 years? How do you do that? I mean, how do you do that?" And I didn't have an answer. I had no idea. So that's a really good question. So I went home and asked Mary, and she has got an answer for everything. She said, "Easy, Steve, we'll never get this." She said, "Easy, Steve, we've had 6 different marriages." Did I miss something here? She said, "Our first marriage is when we were first married. Marriage number 2 was when our children came.
Yeah.
Marriage number 3 was when they left.
Yep.
Marriage number 4 is when they came back. Marriage number 5, when they left again and had their own families. And now we're in marriage 6. Now we are in marriage 7. Because I used to make my money traveling all over the Bay Area talking. Now I'm just right here."
Yeah.
Here's the point she made. Every single time we had to make a decision, cognitive psychology. We had to make a choice, cognitive psychology. We are now replacing marriage number 6. We're not changing because the brain hates change, so we don't use change. We're replacing marriage number 6 with marriage number 7. And we say to each other, this is even better than marriage number 6. Because now we're learning each other about each other more.
Yeah.
And we give each other a lot of space. She needs her space. I need her space. I'm learning how to cook more. I've always been the cook, but I'm getting better and better at it. Today I cooked corn fritters. I've never done that before. And I cooked fish and chips, and that was really good. Okay. So what we've learned how to do is, okay, this is marriage number 7. This is exciting. This is new. We can do this. And what does our brain say? Oh, okay. Is it true? Don't care. All I care is about what you tell me. Now, let me share with you another principle that I always share at the end of my presentations, and it's really helpful for anyone who's going through this. It's a cognitive psychology principle of what to do when we make these big bonehead mistakes, because we all do. When we make bonehead mistakes, we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, how could I have been so stupid? And the brain pops up and it says, oh, I know. Remember that dumb thing you did yesterday? And that dumb thing you did a week ago, a month ago, a year? I used to tell myself, remember how you're the slowest reader in the 3rd grade? And you know what we do, Emmett, is we get out this list. And we start going down the list of all the dumb things we've ever done. Now, this is really important to understand. When you do that, Emmett, our brain does not know that those memories, that's all they are, the memories of your mistakes, happened a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. It is recording them again, along with the feelings, but this time as if they happened when? Right now. And then you're carrying that stuff around. That's why so many of our stuff is negative. So here's what you do, okay?
Yep.
I'm going to help you with this.
All right.
First of all, okay? You need it when you were growing up, but you don't need it now. Number two, use three wonderful words. You know what the words are? The next time. The next time I'll do it this way or that way. And when you say the next time, you're saying three things. Number one, you're saying there is a next time. How many next times do we get? As many as we want.
You're making me feel like you're making me feel like an alien.
In what way?
Because I have this thing. People always ask me, I mean, how do you do and know so much? And because I dare to fail.
Yeah.
Like, if I fail, I learn something. Then the next time comes. I know what not to do. And people don't understand that.
Yeah. Most people haven't, what's the word? Developed your mind the way you have. Most people haven't. You're proactive.
Yeah.
You're looking ahead. I talk about motivations. There's two motivations. One is restrictive, one is restrictive. When you hold up your palm, when I push on your palm, what do? You push back.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we do to ourselves. You better do this or else. All these horrible things will happen. Constructive is what you use. You know what constructive is? You know what, world? I don't have to do this. I want to.
Yeah.
I like what I'm becoming. I love what I am doing. And this is my idea.
And I'll tell you something. Like, this podcast is probably the 6th or 7th attempt. But I learned something in those other ones.
That's right.
Which was, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Because we have this ideology that's programmed through us, through our television programming, media programming, that tells us things need to be immediate. If you do something, you're going to get immediate reactions. Well, I know from anything in life, if you look around, you know that a leaf doesn't just appear on a tree in a day. It develops over time. It's just you notice it all of a sudden.
That's right. That's right.
You don't learn how to walk.
It takes time.
Everything takes time. And
one of my favorite stories is when our daughter took her first step and she fell right on the floor. She looked up at us and she said, "You know what, Dad, Mom? I guess I was never meant for walking." Did she say that? Of course not. She got up, she took 2 steps, and then she fell. 3 steps, and then she fell. She's 43 now. Is she still falling? Yes. How do I know? Because she's still walking. Yeah. You don't fall unless you walk. That's exactly what you're saying.
We've got this narrative in society today that our feelings are the true measure of what is actual. This also was affirmed when I was reading this book as well, because that's what I've seen when people react to a feeling.
Yeah. Instead
of actual data, instead of sitting back and looking at the situation and saying, "Oh, this happened and that happened, and that happened," versus, "Oh, that made me feel really messed up." Yeah. So you need to. Let's go. You got something?
Let's go back. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry.
No,
go ahead. Let's go back to cognitive and let's talk about feelings, because that's, in fact, I want to pull out a book there's a wonderful book that came out in 1962 called The Guide to Rational Living by Dr. Albert Ellis. It turns psychology on its ear. A Guide to Rational Living. What he proposed, and we now know it's true through hundreds and hundreds of research developments, just a minute. Okay, I don't have it here, is this, and I'll say this really slowly so you don't miss it. Our feelings do not primarily, not completely, but primarily come from how we were raised, or events in our lives, or mistakes that we've made, or success that we had. Do you know where they come from, Emmett?
No.
They come from what we say, what we believe about how we were raised. and what we believe about mistakes in our lives and events. So you've met people who have been raised in situations that were horrendous. And that might be you. And yet what they have done with their lives has been absolutely astounding, like you. We've also met people who have been raised in situations to die for. And some of them wish they could. What's the difference? Not the situations, and you know this, Emma. It's what you say about the situations. It's what you believe about the situations. Now, people say to me, well, I'm not really sure what I believe. There's a wonderful handle, and this is back to cognitive. If you want to know what you believe, listen to your self-talk. Listen to what you're saying to yourself about yourself. That will tell you what you're believing. And those beliefs lead to your feelings, which means we don't have to be a victim of what we're feeling.
Yeah.
We can replace our beliefs. Notice again, I didn't say change. When I say I'm going to change my beliefs, that brain said, no. So don't worry. I sort of pat it on his head. So don't worry, brain. I'm not going to change anything. But I'm going to replace it with some really great stuff. And the brain says, oh, I like that. So our feelings about ourselves, ready? This is cognitive, primarily come from what we're saying about ourselves. And we can replace what we're saying. Is it easy? Of course not. Because some of the things we've been saying to ourselves our entire lives. But we can replace it. And here's the exciting part. The more you do, the more the brain locks onto that, the more it rewires itself. And over time, those new feelings and those new mindsets don't become temporary. They become permanent. They become a part of who you are. And that's why this stuff is so exciting. So let's go back to the next time. So number one, there is a next time. Number two, when you say the next time, you're saying, I'll never give up. I'll never give up. I'll do it this way or that way or whatever. Okay. Number three, best for last. When you say the next time, what you're really saying is, you know what? I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still changing, which means I'm still making mistakes. But just because I failed does not mean I'm a failure.
So what you're saying is absolutely true. But what we have in this society suddenly is this cancel culture. So you can make a mistake. You can have made a mistake a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be detrimental to your existence in society.
Yes.
Because the world is judging you far harsher than you could probably judge yourself, or you've gone through that judgment before.
Or the opposite. You can judge yourself far harsher than the world judges you. Either way. Too. Yeah.
But that can critically influence. I mean, we have the internet now, so now you have opinion without repercussion. You have opinion in the shadows. So I can say something really, like if you and I are on Facebook or you make a post on Twitter, I could just say the most brash, outlandish, slanderous things without fear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And from the time that I came up, through my life, you watched what you said because you could be touched. Mm-hmm. There were repercussions, but there are no repercussions. How do we navigate this society? I know how I do it because I look at it and go, they don't know me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have that wherewithal.
They don't have that. Yeah. And this is something that you're very, very progressive. You're saying, I'm getting ahead before this stuff gets me behind.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. And the more you do that, the more you see ways of getting ahead. So it becomes a part of the way you think, part of your mindset. And it's something, but however, it's not one thing. You've been choosing this sort of thing perhaps your whole life. I don't know. I don't know you that well.
It's really simple. For me, it's try. It's 3 letters. TRY. Mm-hmm. Try. Which means think about something, find a target, then take an action. That's what try is. I'm just
That's right.
I'm going to try to catch this ball. Oh, I missed. Throw it to me again.
That's right. And it's all right, because the next time I'll know how to catch it better, because I learned something. I learned out why I didn't catch it in the first place.
If it is
and that's your mindset.
Yeah, if it's not life and day, I mean, there are some things that are like, I'm not going to try that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
There are some things it's just, and I hate to say it this way, but it's the best general term I can think of. Common sense, because I know that's a misnomer too. What's common to me is not common to you, is not common to everyone else. But there's a certain base level of intelligence that everyone should have and be able to decipher and put in their own life. Now, with this, what has been your primary focus and objective prior to COVID when you were going out and talk?
Prior to COVID, my vision has been to be able to help people understand how they can change what they are saying to themselves about themselves. Let's go back. How they can replace what they are saying to themselves about themselves right now, and their brain will say, okay. People think you have to go through years and years of therapy and all that. Well, we're discovering that's not necessarily the truth. People can, when taught how to do that, replace what they've been saying to themselves, and their brain says, okay. So my vision was to go all over the Bay Area, and actually I spent sometimes around the world teaching this, India and stuff like this, and sharing all this information. COVID came along. That was devastating at first. And then I said, okay, now I need to think differently. Now, instead of traveling for 6 hours and speaking for a half hour, I can sit here, talk to you, who is in Chicago. I think that's where you are. Okay. and have a wonderful time. And then in about 2 minutes, I can switch to another piece and talk to a bunch of fathers in Concord without going anywhere. It's wonderful.
Wait. I have to correct you. It's not Concord. It's Concord.
Concord. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll tell them that. I'll make sure I don't say that.
I got corrected when I was there. I was
Did you really?
Where's Concord? Okay, well, they were like, it's Concord.
Concord. Okay. I'll be sure I don't tell them. I mean, I'll be sure I'll say that. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's a matter of decision. It's a matter of what you choose to think.
It is.
And the nice thing about your brain, the brain says, oh, okay. Is it true? I don't even care. All I care about is what you tell me.
Actually, I have a very high self-value. It's almost too high that I have to correct it for the general public because I can come off as arrogant.
Yeah.
And people have often said when they got to know me, they were like, I really thought you were arrogant when I first met you. They were like, but you're really down to earth and silly. I'm like, yeah. But when I know something, especially because I've experienced it, I am not backing down. Yeah. Or if I see something that I know is fundamentally incorrect on several perspectives, not just mine, it's hard for me to shut up.
And that's good. That's great. People have said, well, I have said to people, let me give you an illustration. They say, doesn't that make you kind of egotistical? I say, let me share with you an illustration. Let's imagine that I said to you, I am the best speaker you have ever heard. First of all, that would be a lie because I wouldn't be. But I can say I am a really good speaker. That has nothing to do with ego.
No.
That's just simply I have that gift and I'm really good at it and I've learned how to use it. Okay. I am not an athlete. In the area of athletics, I'm just really bad. But in the area of teaching, I'm one of the best. And that's fine. That's fine. My passion is not being an athlete. My passion is to change people's lives. Just like yours is. That your passion too.
Oh, absolutely. That is. Yeah. I am on this planet. So I teach these classes. And I have these young men and women in these classes. And I said, my job here is not as a leader or a manager. My job here is a servant.
Yes.
I said, here is what I am.
Yeah.
Think of me as the sun.
Yeah.
And they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. I am the sun. And my job is to cast light on you so that you shine.
Yeah.
And they look at me. Then they go, Whoa.
That's great. Well, this has been wonderful. I'm afraid I got to go.
I was about to ask you. So let's close it out. Where can people find you?
People can find me on my website, StephenRCampbell.com, StephenRCampbell.com, or they can buy my book, which is Making Your Mind Magnificent, and that's on Amazon.
Thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how it ends. You are a billionaire. Let me break it down. I broke it down like 200 and something shows prior. Your mommy and daddy got together. He gave her some information. She sucked it up. I got this now. She had a piece of material. Those two joined. And then the cosmic energy gave it the blessing. 2 became 4. 4 became 8. 8 became 16. 30 days later, you were over 1 billion cells and you weren't even on the planet. Once you got to the planet, you became a gazillionaire just in your gut flora. You are a creature that is invaluable. You're a spiritual being having a physical experience. You control that. It is divine. You chose this, so now choose what you're going to do with it. If you need love, start in the mirror. Look in the mirror and say, I love you at least twice a day. That's once in the morning, once at night. And if you don't even believe that, take it from me. I love you. Till next time, love you all. Peace.